Rolling.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to American Slacker Podcast with Matthew Gertz and Jessey Landers.
You'll see here the human male boasts the size of his testicles. I drive great when I'm blood. It's all about the sauce. Good, get him out of here. Get him out of here. Oh man, speaking of fucking, you want popcorn? I'll give you a popcorn kit. I'm just trying to go to Colorado and smoke some weed. Watch your fucking tots, huh? Those are my biscuits. Now, this is all alleged.
Welcome to American Slacker Podcast. As always, I'm Matt.
And I am Jesse, and we're joined by another Jesse, Jesse Nelson, content creator, Instagrammer, hilarious individual. Thank you for coming on the show, man.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
The pleasure's all ours, man.
Can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and what you do?
All right. So my name is Jesse Nelson. I have an Instagram account, which obviously caught these guys' eye and the eyes of many others, where I basically have a pocket pussy. And I started a couple's Instagram account with it.
How subtly you say that. Like, it's just what, like, I'm so sorry.
Pussy that fits in your pocket. And I kind of created a whole world and relationship and couple's Instagram account with her. And it's been doing a lot better than I would have ever thought. And I think we're just going to, talk it up about that a bit.
So most people have like an intimate relationship with their pocket pussies if they have one, I'm sure. But this one's very public as opposed to a private relationship.
Well, I figured it had to be as tasteful as possible. One thing I'm, the sensitive world we live in right now, especially with you censoring everything and everyone, I was like, how far could I go with this account and, piss the least amount of people off?
Ride that line.
It's vulgar either way it looks, with the fact that it's a vagina and a realistic looking one at that. But, I wanted to make it tasteful and kind of, I don't even know if Instagram is the right area for this type of humor, but it was just the one I started with and the one that took off the best. So, I've been trying to branch out into other YouTube and all that stuff, but this one just seems to be working the best for me. And I've only had a few pictures banned, so I'm doing pretty good so far, I think.
Now, what's the banning process? Is that just people report the picture because they find it offensive, essentially?
Yeah. I guess so. And I think one thing that's frustrating is that there's all these. You go on YouTube, and if you want to put an 18+ video up there, somebody can go into YouTube, and then they'll ask you for your age or whatever. But that doesn't seem to be an option for Instagram. And I think like if there was a way to censor things, but also allow people to enjoy some of the because there's way worse things going out. I've seen some legit porn on there. I've seen some. I mean, I know that they do their best to get rid of it, but like sometimes people will just put like a cage in front of a porno. I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but they'll put like a cage or just something kind of blurry. You know exactly what's going on in the video, but that seems to be enough for them to continue playing it without getting in trouble.
Tricks the algorithm.
And the photos that have been deleted from me, I could see why maybe they would have got deleted. They were only inappropriate because of how close I think they were to. By the way, her name's Vaginessa Beef Diaz. That's so when I talk
Diaz.
Yeah, so when I talk about her as a person, which I will, because that's it's womanizing her. I think the idea is that it's it's not supposed to be offensive, but when it is close up, when you see her face, it can make some people uncomfortable.
Well, that's just rude. It feels like they're calling her ugly or something.
Yeah. I think we cover up more than we need to in North America as is. I mean, if this account was a European based, I think it would be a lot more accepted.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
yeah.
Have you gotten is there any crazy messages you've gotten or anything like that, like interactions where it's like somebody was like just like completely reacting like over the top with it?
Yeah. Oh, like over the top in a negative aspect?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so I had and this is I wouldn't call this person a friend. It was somebody I knew through somebody. I knew this person and they were, I'm not gonna name names, but it was just something that is this reminds me of.
Name them.
No. I'm not naming names. This dude in particular, though, I met him. He was in the film industry. That's kind of my goal, to get in the film industry. Basically, this was just kind of like a little step forward to me, create some sort of content I could do from home. But eventually, that's my plan to go bigger. But
nice.
This person in particular, he basically like lost it on me. He was telling me that it was super offensive. He was like, I can't believe you would even think about putting something up here like this. And, you know, I thought he was like a fellow comedian type, you know, humorous type person that would have, you know, shared similar interests. And he was like reaming me out on this. And then his girlfriend even came online and was like, she was reaming me out about this. And I was like, okay, it's a silly little parody. And I was like, can you please tell me why you think it's offensive?
Yeah.
And he was like, if I have to explain to you why it's offensive, then, you know, you got bigger problems than you think. I'm like, no, I just want to hear it, because people who generally seem to hate on this stuff can't even give me a legit example. And guess what? He couldn't. Blocks and deletes me and then kind of goes away.
That's the solution.
other than that, like, I don't know. I've just had some, like, sometimes, you know, when you're playing the game of just kind of following people and getting them to follow you back, you don't know who the person is behind the meme account or whatever it is. And I've had some younger people, I guess, that had looked at it, and some people, I mean, from the deep South in America that use slang terms like the F word and not the fuck F word, the other one, calling me gay and a homo and stuff like that. And I was trying to figure out like how that works out when I'm doing an account.
Don't try. You're going to break your back if you try and follow that logic with the bending backwards.
Exactly. So, and it just sounded like, you know, your social justice warrior type people basically trying to come at me with those things. So I when I came up with the idea, one of the first things I thought of was, there's going to be haters. There's going to be haters for everything. And I was like, this account is not going to be followed lightly. So I kind of had to have all the ammo there ready to go, and just kind of, you know, once somebody was ready to explain to me what it is that they thought was offensive, I feel like I have the right information.
Well, at least you're offering them that olive branch of like, I'll hear you out. You know,
for sure.
You can tell me like what I did wrong.
Exactly. And I'm always up for a debate, and, you know, and I will hear both sides of it. But I mean, I think the biggest thing is, like, I did not make this account to offend anybody. And what I think is interesting is, I bet you if you put yourself, if you did the same account with a girl and she did it with a dildo, it would be much more accepted. So I don't understand, you know, I think
hilarious. It would be hilarious.
And
I think there's a market you just opened up right there.
And I encourage a girl to do that. And, you know, let's make this thing happen, because eventually I plan on bringing more sex toys into the mix.
That sounds like a double date ready to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I've had some people reach out like that, and they're like, I have this girl I talked to in Australia, and she's like, what if I have my vibrator on the table and we sit there and eat dinner together, and we'll do it like face to face on a live stream? I'm like, let's do it. Let's
That's hilarious. That would be great.
It's not easy to find people that want to play around with this idea yet, but you know, I feel like I'm maybe opening doors for people to be like, oh, hey, maybe it is okay to have a more of a friendly relationship with your sex bot or your sex toy or whatever it is.
Was that your intention going into this, or like?
Okay, so I mean, if we want to go all the way to the beginning, talk about like how the idea
origin story.
Wrong. Yeah. So this goes back. So almost just over a year ago.
It was a weird Christmas when I opened that box.
Sort of.
Jesus.
Birthday, actually. So,
oh God! What?
Yeah. So it was my birthday, and 30th birthday.
Appropriate age for this.
So my friends bought me something. They wouldn't tell me what it was. They're like, it's on the way. It's in the mail. And it took a couple months to get it. They finally gave it to me, and it was beef in this box. I didn't have the name for it at the time, but it Latino pocket pussy, made by Doc Johnson. And I was like, oh, cool. Thanks, guys. The joke there was that I hadn't had a girlfriend in a while. So they were like, let us help you with this.
Burn.
Bunch of savages, your friend.
Jesus, man.
Yeah. So I was like, let's see how far I can take this joke of me not having a girlfriend. And so I messaged my brother, and I said, my brother's like one of those guys, he'll talk me down from the ledge, you know what I mean? But also generally if I give him an idea, he'll put it in a different perspective and kind of make it a little bit, you know, better. But if I have a terrible idea, he'll let me know. Okay. So I was like, what do you think if I started a couple's Instagram account with this pocket pussy? Excuse me. And he's like, I kind of want to see where that goes. so I was like, okay. I was like, let me see what I can do. And, I had my doubts or whatever. And then what happened is I ended up getting invited to Mexico for this wedding trip. And I was like, she's Latina. I'm going to Mexico. Why don't I start the story there? So I'm in
sign.
Yeah, exactly. It all stars aligned like crazy for this idea. I kept having my doubts. I started pitching it to people. I was working at the restaurant. I would like sit there and I'd go to a table. I'd be like, I'm thinking about starting this Instagram account with, and I just kind of share it with people because I think it's important, pitch your ideas and stuff like that. I
wish I could just be like a fucking fly on the wall for those conversations. So guys, I'm thinking about starting a joint account with a pocket pussy. What do you guys think?
I think anybody would be
still waiting on my drink, sir. I just wanted.
Yeah. Can we get a new server here? I think he's hitting on me. I'm not sure.
My kids' chicken nuggets still haven't come out. I don't know if they need to hear this.
Yeah, I just saw your kid on Instagram. Follow this account. Take his phone from him. So yeah. Basically, I was pitching the idea, and like the more people I told, so like a lot of people it made them cringe, but a lot of people were like, that sounds funny. Like I've never seen that. I'm really big on originality, and it's just harder to do that every day these days. So I came up with that idea. Go on this wedding resort, wedding situation. There's about 30 people there, and most of them I didn't even know. And I started to warm up to these people. We had a great time. And then I brought up the idea like halfway through the trip, and I'm like, hey guys, I want you to meet somebody. And I like brought her out like as if it was like a girlfriend I had like hiding in my room the whole time or something like that. And I was like, I tell all these people and they were all like, that's freaking hilarious. Like absolutely do that. So then one of my friends who I know is really good with the camera, we're on the beach, we're hanging out, and he takes like a bunch of photos that were as if you were to, how on the beaches when you're in Mexico, people are always trying to sell stuff. I don't know if you guys have been to Mexico. So there'll be people with cameras and they'll be like, we'll take like beautiful engagement photos or whatever. So I wanted that. So I wanted our first photos to be as if we were already in love. We just met at this resort. I have the idea that she worked at that resort and that's how we met. And basically after that, when we took those photos, I took her back to Vancouver with me and then we started a couple's Instagram together. And that was kind of the beginning of, Beef and Kurt, and the name kind of fell together actually pretty easily, but it's basically a play on words because it's I nicknamed her Beef, and then my name's Kurt, and we're in love, and it's also Beef Curtain, Curtain Love. So
Curtain Love.
So when I first came up with it, I think I was kind of like Beef Curtain. I want that in there, or I was like kind of like I need some sort of foul word for vagina, but that'll be the most like inappropriate thing about it. And then when I was putting it together, I'm like Beef, and then I'll change my name to Kurt, and we're in love. And I'm like, oh, cool,
bam,
that works. And the name change actually happened because I was working at one of my jobs that I'm not going to tell you where, but basically I went to HR and and I told them the idea because I trusted this girl. I was like, hey, I have this idea. I think you like my sense of humor, and I was just wondering, like, would I get in trouble if I used my real name? And she was like, yeah, I think you would. She's like, that's really funny, but I think you should change your name. So I was like, there it is. And then kind of just fell together at that point.
Wow.
That was the beginning. And again, even after I had that idea, I kind of hesitated for about a month to start putting pictures up, but I just put them up one night and just saw how it worked, and it started growing pretty quick. So.
Yeah, I mean, you caught our attention. It's hard to pass by an Instagram photo of a guy running on the beach or filling a pocket pussy with sand.
Dude, yeah. It's so hilarious. I mean, we followed you probably, it must have been a year ago or something. And I remember looking back.
The account's actually only 8 months old. So
it was 8 months. Okay, so yeah. I was going to say, dude, it must have been when you were pretty new, because I remember a long time ago, well before Jessey had made contact with you. First contact.
Yeah.
That I had looked at this and I was like, dude, this guy's got an idea here.
Yeah.
Like, I just remember being like, this is fucking ridiculousness and it's fucking beauty. Like, I just couldn't believe, like, I was like, so original.
Yeah.
I mean, I had an idea that was ridiculous of like, food out of place, or like I was like deciding between like food out of place or like chicken wings out of place, because I kept fucking finding chicken wings in random spots.
I remember you told me about that.
Dude, I would be in like fucking a store and there would be like a chicken wing half eaten on a shelf. And I'd be like, what the fuck is this? Like, I should start a fucking Instagram. And like, I see this and I'm like, I can't when there's like something like this out. Like, this is just a whole new level, like right here.
Different markets.
Yeah. Different markets. Yeah. I mean, but it's hard. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Let's see.
I haven't seen anything like it exactly yet. I've seen like, I've heard of people dating like, so like one of the things is like, as this idea was getting, you know, more interesting and, you know, there was more detail involved, and I was creating a bigger world, I realized like that it was basically a parody account for people that date things that are not humans. And that's the thing. There's documentaries out there of people who have given up on love with real people. And they date digital people. They date
landmarks.
Yeah, sex toys.
The Paris fucking Eiffel Tower somebody was married to and had sexual relations.
Well, I want to see how that went down.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I think they're divorced. It's got
to be a tough relationship when so many other people are seeing it. You know?
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah. Constant cheating, constant mistrust.
You got to have your ego under wraps, you know?
Yeah. So when I came up with that, I'm like, okay, well then that's what that is. It is a parody account. One of the things too is, have you seen that show on Netflix with Chris Lilly? It's called, I'll have to look it up.
What's it about?
It's basically, it's a show where he plays a bunch of different characters. It's a new Netflix show, with Chris Lilly, and there's, a character
Lunatics.
Lunatics, that's the one. Okay, so this came out after I'd already come up with the idea, but he basically plays a character that dates a cash register, and he calls it objectophilia. So he's an objectophile. So he's married, but he constantly cheats with objects, and he's discussing that he dated a fridge at one point, and then all these different like items that he's dated, but that his cash register was one of his, and he names her Karen. And I kind of was like, oh, that's funny, because that's kind of what I'm doing. But then I also was thinking, like, I didn't want to objectify women in general by having this account. And I was waiting for that one to come at me. It has a little bit from certain people.
I would assume that's where a lot of it was kind of angled.
Yeah. But then I was like, well, but I'm not doing that. Really, if anything, I'm womifying an object. I'm turning something that is not a human being, and I'm making them into one. And that was kind of the idea there, is that Kurt imagines her as a real life human. And I think that's important to know. Like when I'm holding her or touching her in certain areas, it's like I'm holding her hand, or, you know, I'm kissing her cheek, because like to Kurt, it's a full life person. So that was kind of like how to get out of that, you know, conversation in that way, because I'm not, in fact, I'm making it more than it is. And I'm creating this human being, and I'm also treating her with insane respect. I mean, some of the big messages I get are like, you know, it's just crazy that you treat, you know, Vaginessa better than most guys treat their girlfriends. And I'm like, oh, that's sad, but thank you.
Yeah. Vaginessa on the pedestal. Nice.
Yeah, exactly. And so like that was another thing. I'm like, if I just went around doing vulgar shit with it and like slapping it around and like, you know, getting it all wet and shit. I knew that it was, people are just going to be like, this is super immature. This is gross. This is, you know, that. So like, I wanted to prolong any sexual activity or anything like that until, you know, it started to get some growth. But, you know, I constantly get people, you know, obviously people turn to the inappropriate side of it, and they go like, when are you gonna fuck her?
Oh, dude. Well, there's always going to be that. I mean, the greats deal with that. I mean, we were talking with somebody else about how Dave Chappelle's reaction to his new stand-up has been like outrageous. People like saying it should be canceled and taken off.
No way, man. I love that. I
Can't only watch everybody, dude.
I only watched half of that stand up, but
I watched it on a plane. I loved it.
Oh man, what I saw so far, because like this, and he's killing it right now. This is his fifth Netflix special.
After being gone, like after his sour deal with Comedy Central, I mean, he's fucking a killer, dude. I mean, he's always gonna be till he's fucking gone.
I think I love the most is that people were trying to get apologies from him after his first one with some of his jokes, and then he just came back and fired even harder. And I think, I think one of the things that frustrates me, you know, as you know, like I'm practicing becoming a comedian myself right now. I've done about 4 shows so far. I'm like super fresh, but
nice.
I'm trying to entertain the idea of it. After I I started this account. My creative juices have been flowing like crazy. And I was like, man, I can write some jokes and go on stage, but I wanted to do it as Jessey and not as Kurt. You know, that's a different thing. That's a project. I think of Beef Kurt as like one long running joke. You know, we haven't even got to the punchline at the end. Something crazy will happen. But like I came up with the idea that it would basically end eventually, that, you know, even this love that Kurt created, you know, could eventually be too good to be true.
Oh, my eye! My trousers fell down again. That really hurt. Oh, good God. Jamie! Jamie! Jamie!
I am on the edge of my seat.
I just love meeting up with random people and having a good duck.
Stop that.
A whole room dedicated to Nigel Farage.
Oh, wow. I'm such a big fan of his.
Bam! Out of nowhere! A meal to break our fast.
Hang on. Did you say 2 for 1?
No, I gotcha. I completely understand.
I'm trying to see the bad points, but I just can't think of any.
Item 1, water.
Ah!
This is starting to get really embarrassing, to be honest.
The Comedy Geek Sketch Podcast. Available on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Acast, Spotify, Podbean, Radio Public, and most half-decent podcatchers.
Who writes this crap?
Here at American Slacker, we have proudly partnered with Seat Giant, which is a website that allows you to get tickets to events for a fraction of the price of retail.
Yeah, easy to use, easy to find. SeatGiant.com. Use the code Slacker at checkout. And you'll save a little bit of your change.
Local events, national tours, they got everything. Make sure to go over to SeatGiant.com, type in that code Slacker, and save yourself some money.
Get that change back in your pocket.
I was gonna say I see some twists down the line.
Yeah.
Maybe another woman in the picture, possibly. And like there's a love triangle, maybe.
Yeah, I think the fun of it is that anyone can play along. Like I take a lot of ideas from people, so you know it makes other people creative. So some people will go, you know, that's disgusting, that's wrong, or some people go, yeah, but what if her ex-boyfriend's a dildo, or you know, or what if her parents, one of them's a sex toy, one of them's a human? You know what I mean? Like when are you gonna meet the parents? Like what? There's all these ideas, and I am actually going to Mexico in December, so I was thinking I could, you know, have her return home and you know
meet the parents.
Yeah, maybe. Again, it's just tough getting people into these videos. A lot of people give too many shits.
I was just gonna say, like, it's like silly about that, man. Like, I feel like what you're doing is stretching like the boundaries for comedy in a way.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's like, you know, you're not like fucking, you know, to the mega star yet, but like I feel like things like this are critical to make sure that we keep the freedom in comedy, because it's outrageous, it's silly.
Right.
It's fucking awesome. Like everything about it is preserving what comedy is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a free ground for everybody
to try new things. Yeah.
And I guess that's what I was going to get at with the whole Dave Chappelle thing, is like he's keeping comedy strong. Like it's comedians like him that are like, no, like fuck that. Like if you don't like it, don't watch it. Don't listen to it. Don't come to my show. Don't spend money to come to my show because it's the hottest ticket when you're just going to complain about it. And it's so true that it really just takes that one person to make a huge deal about it and then everyone to jump on that wagon. But I guess in a way, like for me, like honestly, the comedy that I've been choosing to do on stage is definitely inappropriate. But that's just my kind of humor, you know? I'm a kind, you know, warm-hearted person, and I never go out to you know, intentionally hurt anybody or offend anybody. And if I ever have, even with my account, like I'm open to feedback, but I'm also just trying to have fun. And at the same time, you know, it's nothing personal. And
it's hard to please everyone too. It's impossible.
Oh, you never will.
Yeah. Dude, just everything about what you're doing is so fucking original. I mean, anybody that hates it is just a Sour Patch Kid. Yeah. Crazy. Like, just like, don't fucking subscribe. All right. It's as simple as that. You don't have to fucking waste your time, waste your time. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. And so like one of the things, like I'm just trying to get this idea out there. I have so many ideas. And again, I didn't want this to be a long-term thing. I almost like wanted to be the first one also to tell a front to back love story on Instagram. And I think the whole story idea is like cool because it's almost like a comic book. Like you have all your little squares and your spaces. And if you start at the beginning and you wanted to see the whole story, which I always encourage people to do on my Instagram. And, it sucks because people's attention spans are garbage these days. They don't want to watch anything over a minute. So to get them to actually go back, like, I don't know how many of my friends that follow me that I go, did you see my new post, my new video? And then they'll be like, oh, well, like I skipped a bit and kind of went through it. I'm like, God damn it.
It's like I put a whole afternoon into like that post.
Yeah. And then you look at the algorithms of like what people watch. You're like, 10%. People watch 10% of that minute video. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So it's tough. And like there's so much out there and things like that. But like I'm trying to do something different. And it really makes me feel good when I hear that. I've heard many people say that my account is their favorite account on Instagram today. Nice. And, that always
feel good.
Yeah, it does. And it was just something different that's not out there. And like, really it's kind of a stepping stone to show what I can do in the comedy world and to have people kind of start taking me seriously so I can work on other projects. I've had people show some interest in collaborating with me on a comedy level with sketches. And I'd like to step away from Beef Curt and start doing something else. So I actually do have something in the works. I'm not quite ready to talk about, but something I'm pretty excited about. And it probably wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't because of this account that I decided to take the leap with. So
nice.
Yeah.
Now with your stand-up, I know that whenever anyone's trying it themselves, they must have a couple favorites. Who do you call your favorite comedians, or who do you look to?
Dave Chappelle, who we were just talking about, he's definitely up there. One that I've been following for a long time is Anthony Jeselnik.
Yeah, he's my favorite. Yeah.
Again, you want to talk about sensitivity. He's got no boundaries for sure. And I love how his whole concept is no such thing as too soon. And if there's a world tragedy, he's the first person to make the joke. But listening to his the JRVP podcast that they do, you just know you just learn he is a sweetheart. He's like he's got this tough skin on the outside where he just acts like this badass, and he's always putting people down, and he's so quick with his jokes. But at the same time, he's a good guy. You can tell he is. You know what I mean? I can tell he's a real family man. He's hanging out with his best friend on this podcast, talking about his godchildren and stuff. And so to see that side of him, but then to see what he does when he's on stage, you're just kind of blown away with the jokes, and you can really like put it into perspective. It's like he just wants to make people laugh and also push the envelope. And he's
a dude that does a majority special on dead baby jokes. I mean, you got to be fucking good if you're going to do that.
Mm-hmm. And his two specials on there are like, sometimes when I come home or I'm just hanging out with people and we need something to put on, I'm generally pushing some Anthony Jeselnik.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah, I've watched his specials numerous times. I mean, it's fucking got replay value, which is tough in stand up. I mean, a lot of the time people will play it once and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, when you got that replay value, like going back to like Richard Pryor, and some of the originals, like it's like, dude, that means you're making your fucking indent.
Yeah, no, he's killing it for sure.
How is the comedy scene up in Vancouver? That's I don't know if we had mentioned that yet. You're based out of Vancouver. What's the comedy scene like up there?
So yeah, that's a good question. So when I decided to do it, it's kind of funny. I had a guy, one of my buddies, he kind of like really was pressuring me to go. I had all these jokes and he was like reading them, and he was like a good friend of mine. And we kind of made a bet actually before he left. He was going to take off to England because he was married actually, but he was living here and he was trying to figure that out. And he's like, dude, if you don't do stand up before I leave, I'm going to be so pissed. He's like, how about we make a bet? If you don't go and do stand up before I leave, I'm going to kick you in the dick as hard as I can. And so I was like, okay, well, I don't want to get kicked in the dick and I do want to do comedy. So, and it actually came down to the week when he got his visa. And I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to go do comedy. And so I went up, I was scared shitless. But I got the first one out of the way. And I think like, it's a scary thing to go up and try to tell jokes. Anyone will tell you that it's one of the toughest things to do. And so, I've done a few now, and by my fourth one I just did recently, I really like saw a huge difference. I've yet to bomb, which is good. It's coming. It'll happen. Even the greats. Again, a big one of my favorite comedians as well, Chris D'Elia. He's a huge.
Great. Yep.
I listen to his podcast.
We're big fans. Yep.
Yeah, I listen to his podcast as well. I met him back in the day when he first came out with the drunk girls joke and stuff like that, and I was like, man, this guy gives zero fucks. But he's even, you hear stories about him bombing and whatnot. And so, you know, I went, and one of the days I went, I tried not to talk about my Instagram account again, because I just wanted to see how I could like grow as me as a comic. And sitting down at this table, eventually it came out and people liked it. But I just noticed that, you know, everyone so far in Vancouver that I met just seems to be focused on their own shit. I feel like, you know, from stories I hear about, like, you know, LA and San Francisco and, you know, Portland and things, all the, you know, the comics out that way, is they seem to want to get everyone to be the best comic they can be. I mean, I'm sure there's circles that exist that, you know, aren't so supportive, but what I've gotten here so far is it just seems like everyone's just up to go get their time and then take off. You'll go to a set, and I've heard about this at other places, that you get pushed up. So you could show up first or second or third, have your name down, but then a bunch of other comedians come through that are a little bit more experienced than you, and they get you know, pushed more
priority.
Into
you get pushed.
Yeah. So they get to practice their jokes, and then by the time you go on, you know, your friends are like, "Oh shit, I can't stay. I got to go to work," or you know, or I have to, like, you know, work early in the morning, or you know, the other comics don't stick around to hear you, and you're kind of like, "Oh man, I wish you would have heard my set. Maybe you could give me some advice." Right. And I've yet to see that, which is interesting. Because I know, you know, the type of person I am, you know, if I'm doing anything well in life, or, you know, if people are asking me advice on Instagram, I want to give them a hand and help them out and see, you know, show them what I know, but haven't seen that yet. So, I mean, hopefully that changes.
Well, it's good that you can actually like walk in and get up and get on stage though. That's, I mean, I haven't done it yet. It's something I've been saying I've wanted to do out here in San Francisco. And I'm on a couple of the like Facebook pages that post for that kind of thing. And it seems so packed. Like it immediately just fills up, which might be part of like pushing through that noise is probably half the battle, along with like actually performing your set.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like, I'm on one of those sites, the same kind of site for Vancouver. And that's kind of how I got my start and looked out that way, to get my spots. And again, I do kind of see the same comics showing up to the same sets over and over again. They're just getting their practice in. I mean, one thing you can learn from a lot of comics, let's go back to Anthony Jeselnik, is he talks about doing 5 sets a night. Plus, sometimes he'll do 2 in one night. And it's just about doing those jokes as many times as you can before you either chuck them out or perfect them, you know? And so I kind of get that. And like, I think that's why some people are just get in and get out. Because they're like, they have shit to do too. They're either starving artists, or, you know, they got other jobs and they're just trying to see how this thing goes, or, you know, or they're trying to, like, you know, get there as fast as possible. The more practice, the better, of course.
Yeah. Those 5 sets a night, man. You got a boogie if you're gonna get up and get out of there. You got to fucking move around. I wish, like, we both. I think me and you both live in areas, Jesse, where it's like it's very sparse, the stand up. Well, so it's not like we could bang out fucking multiples a night.
There's like 2, because I'm in San Jose, which is south of San Francisco. Up in San Francisco itself, there's a lot going on.
A lot, yeah.
I'm sure.
But it'd be a matter of actually.
You guys ever gone to Clusterfest?
I did. I actually went this past year. I caught the last day of it, and it was cool. I got to see a lot of like local comedians and stuff. Some bigger ones like Tig Notaro for a little bit.
Awesome. Yeah. Actually, I think I heard her on another podcast I listened to, Conan Needs a Friend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so she was really funny on there. I didn't really know much about her, but after I heard her, it's funny how you listen to people on podcasts and you're like, I got to find out who this person is. So I looked into her after that.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully that's what all our listeners will be doing after this episode.
Yeah, hopefully send them my way, man. I got to get that 10K so I can swipe up.
Oh, dude, you want to. Yeah, you'll get there like us one day. Don't worry. Pretty soon, I'm sure.
We just got to wait out our ban on Instagram.
Oh, dude, yeah, we're banned right now.
You are? Really?
Yeah, we're banned.
We got a week ban on it right now for being dirty.
We got rowdy. Really? We get too rowdy sometimes, and I mean, Insta doesn't appreciate it. I mean,
pull the rain.
Was it over a story or a post?
No post or anything like that. Just the way that we kind of operate on it.
Yeah. What?
We
all right, let's do a little inside baseball.
We used to use an app, you know, just to keep track of who was following us, that kind of thing. So
delete people that aren't following. Yeah, it really Instagram
got mad at us recently. Like, I guess probably 3 weeks ago, the app stopped working, and we were like, "Uh-oh,
Yeah.
the storms are coming." And finally, they stopped like letting us like photos, and it just said this action has been blocked, which sometimes happens if you unfollow too many people at once.
Yeah.
And finally, for like 3 days, it wouldn't let us like anything. Everything was blocked, and we got a message saying like, you are temporarily banned from liking or doing anything until like the 29th. So anyone on Instagram, we're not liking your shit until the 29th of September because we are currently banned on it. And it affected my personal profile too, which kind of sucked. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah. I've gotten that before. Like now that you say it, like because I use an app as well, but like, it's kind of like, I have friends that have accounts in the 100,000s, and that's like always their advice though. It's like, how do you get followers right off the bat? And people are like, I've heard people say like, don't follow, that's dirty or whatever. It's like, but how do you get people into your world if you're not handing out flyers? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
that's the spark, dude.
That's it.
That's
right
the
there.
spark. That's the secret. Like it's the dirty little secret of the industry. You have to get that initial, once you get your K mark, that's the difference.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going towards. And like, a big one for me is, I'll tell you another little story. When the Instagram account kind of started, it grew pretty quick, like to the first 3,000. And then, it has its areas where you're just kind of like, I can't jump that 3,500, or, you know what I mean? Like certain numbers just seem to be tougher to get around in.
Yeah.
So what happened was, like I said before, I'm a server. So sometimes I will take opportunities to talk about the account. If I know my audience, like if I know I can, be more vulgar at a table, I'm that type of server because I'm trying to appeal to my audience. So I'll tell dirty jokes. I'll tell whatever. If I hear a kid say fuck, I'm gonna say fuck. Here's your fucking chicken wings. When I pop it off, it makes them it makes people more comfortable though, and they have a different experience. So sometimes I've grown up the courage to talk to people. I had this one situation. There's a Canadian-based rapper. He's getting quite big right now. His name's Mercules, and he's up there in the following range, and he basically came in with his parents. Having a private term, like he's got like bouncers around him now, security. Like he just and I recognized him from back in the day because I just remember seeing him. And then one time he was on Shade 45 radio station, and this guy he killed it. And I just remember being like, man, I just thought you were another one of those white rappers from from Surrey, and now you're killing it. You're blowing up. I'm like, I'm really proud of you. And I said this stuff to him. I'm telling him the stuff at the table, and he comes in with his parents, and I see him on Instagram, and I'm like, hey, dude, you want to see something funny I'm working on? And so again, he's there with his parents and his girlfriend, and I build up the courage, and I just go, hey, dude, check out this Instagram account. And I go and I walk away for a second. I'm making the drinks for him, and I'm like peeking over to see like what his reaction is, and he's just giggling like crazy over there at the table. And so I go back, and he's like, dude, this is fucking hilarious. Like, this is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And so the next day, he's like, send me a message. I'm going to shout you out on my account. At this point, he's got like 300,000 plus followers. And he gives me a shout out, and boom, my account starts growing and growing and growing.
Wow.
And he gets one of his rapper friends who has a similar amount of followers, this guy called Lil Windex. And he starts following me, and then that goes up and up. And
he's so like, clean.
Yeah, he's clean.
So clean.
I think his thing is he's cleaning up the game.
There you go,
dude.
So and that grew, and he's into sketch comedy, and they all got their little their things with their Instagram accounts. But I basically took on a lot of their followers at that point, and when it started growing, and I remember sitting there just going like, holy shit, like is this what it means to be famous, when you're just looking at your phone and your account's just like constantly going up? Yeah. So I had that 15 minutes of fame there. It was nonstop.
It is written, the meek shall inherit the earth, but not on my watch. I am King Asilas. I wasn't born to be a king, but America needed something democracy could no longer give her. And so, like a chess master, I made my moves with anticipation and bravado. This is not just my story. nor simply about my rise to power. This is a story about our world and the monsters that control governments. What happens when the monsters cannot control me? The Rise of King Asilas. Listen on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher. Visit theriseofkingasilas.com.
This episode is brought to you in part by hemp-cbd.com.
Hemp-CBD was founded in Albuquerque, New Mexico, with the mission to provide the best products in the industry. Hemp-CBD has created a one-stop shop for tons of CBD products, such as tinctures, edibles, topicals, pre-rolls, vape, and pet products.
The products carried by Hemp-CBD are sourced from an organic hemp that's grown in the United States, lab tested, and consists of CBD isolate, which is the purest form of CBD. This testing ensures that their products contain CBD and no other cannabinoids like THC.
Head over to hemp-cbd.com and use promo code SLACKER for a 20% discount at checkout.
That's hemp-cbd.com, promo code SLACKER.
And then after that, it kind of, I had a lot of opportunities with collaborations. If you watched one of my recent videos called Beef Gets Grilled, I basically take her to get sized up for grills. And how that came about was because of somebody who followed me through that big shout out. And
nice.
Shout out to my boy Redneck Rabbi, said the name wrong, boom. Friends off now. He basically, he does grills for a company called Gold Teeth Canada. And after he saw my account, I made the joke. I'm like, why don't we get beef some grills, y'all? And he's kind of like, yeah, dude, let's do it. And so it kind of contributed to a collaboration. And that was one of my first big ones, to get somebody in a video with me to kind of, branch that off. And basically we got a part 2 coming out that's going to be a game changer for the account. And it's kind of, it's kind of brought other people to want to come into the world and kind of, be part of it and collab. So.
Well, that's good. I'm really looking forward to seeing like what the future holds for Beef and Kurt, especially in terms of all these collaborations as you make these connections.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm just I want every post to get better. I mean, that's like one thing for me. Like I'm trying to improve and do something funnier or something crazier at every post. Have you guys seen my most recent post for the teaser that we did?
I believe I did. What was it? Remind me.
So I'm eating tacos. And I'm just eating tacos, and I'm eating tacos, and then all of a sudden it gets dark at the end. Did you watch that video?
I did see that one.
Okay, so it's a confusing trailer that keeps people curious, but basically we just did something a little bit more on the wild side, and you'll see when it comes out. But we used a better camera this time, and I wanted it to kind of look like a movie, and so we basically made a short film.
Oh,
and
nice.
That's the teaser for it, and it's called Heart Attackeria. Because basically you'll get it when you see it. I don't want to say too. I like the idea to keep people in suspense. But,
when is that one coming out?
Probably next week.
Okay.
It's all filmed. I just wanted to do a quick teaser. And all right. So one of the I have people help me with this account. Again, not going to name names just to keep them keep their
protected.
Yeah. Just in case they have a future job coming up and. What the fuck is this?
Nobody needs to be fucking attached to a pocket pussy.
I was gonna say though, these days, like literally, who doesn't have something the equivalent of pocket pussy videos on the internet?
I think it's more frowned. It's just.
I'm gonna go out on a stretch and say a few people.
I don't know, Matt. This podcast is like put us in some pretty peculiar positions.
I feel like we're still in a little bit of a spectrum there that's unique. I mean, I don't think everybody out there is fucking talking about dicks weekly and whatnot,
They can go listen to our sex therapy episode if they want to see if they agree with Matt or not.
Yeah. Available for a prescription. We are doing sex therapy now.
No, I was talking about the one we had on.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought we were going into a new idea right away. Damn.
But do that too.
There you go.
I thought about doing a segment called Pillow Talk with Beef and Kurt, where like we just do once in a while go live and like answer relationship questions to people.
Dude.
I thought that'd be pretty funny.
That would be good, actually.
That would be really good.
Yeah. It's still potentially possible.
Now, do you translate for Beef? Is that how that works in that kind of scenario?
So as of right now, if you've noticed, if you go back to the earlier video of when she first starts talking, so it's Kenny's voice from South Park.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, exactly. And so what I try to do, because somebody actually brought this up, they're like, "Oh, you should have subtitles for Beef." I'm like, if it's necessary, but I generally answer her questions or respond to her with what she just said. So I try to make it obvious. I don't think you're ever that confused as to what is going on, because I'm just like, I'll be like, "Do you know what I'm thinking?" "Oh, you do know what I'm thinking." Okay.
Like it gives context. Yeah.
So I'm not trying to confuse anybody. So, if there needed to be subtitles, I think I would, but I think the way I've got it going where it's just a muffled voice that sounds like that. And then sometimes, we'll make our own voices if we have to, just because we didn't have that Cartman sound or the South Park, Kenny soundbite to make it sound like that. I also don't want to get in trouble from them if one day they see it and they're like, "You're still in the voice." So I think we'll keep the same sort of voice, but we might kind of transition it into something a bit different.
You gotta have like a guest voice at some point in time.
Yeah.
Beef gets her voice back.
Yeah, that'd be really funny actually. Yeah, there's lots of opportunity here.
Well, it's great. I mean, you're coming out with all this hilarious stuff. I hope everyone that listened to this episode goes out and follows Beef Kurt in Love. It's BeefKirtinlove. And that's on pretty much everything, right?
Yeah. I think my YouTube is like Beef Kurt, one word, and then in love. Again, although all those other platforms basically is sharing the same content, I'm just kind of sticking it there to so it exists and try to build it. I mean, again, Twitter, I kind of haven't figured that all out yet, but I was just kind of try to relive the story till it caught up. But Instagram seems to be the one I'm the best at growing, and so
it's a good platform for that kind of thing, especially short form videos. If you go that route with it,
I can't imagine if I'm sharing videos that are over a minute on YouTube and people aren't going to watch them. I mean, I just feel like that is just like the perfect amount of time. That I can say that this short film version that we just did is about 2.5 minutes. I hope people watch the whole thing. Excuse me, but they probably won't.
Well, it's good to know where to post it, so at least your efforts aren't going unnoticed.
Right. And then again, like this next project I have coming out is something I'd like to bring everybody into my world with. Basically this idea was always a stepping stone, like I said, to try to get people to find a way that I could do something different that would get people looking at me and be like, "Whoa, this guy's funny. Like look what he's doing with a pocket pussy. Imagine what he could do with anything else."
Right.
So the idea was that I'm creating a sketch comedy crew right now, and we're going to start releasing sketch comedy videos, and you'll know when it's there because I'm going to share the crap out of it through Beef Kurt. But I want something that's unfortunately, because it is a PG-13 world we live in right now, I do need to create some content that can be more versatile and kind of go wherever. If I'm known as the guy who started the Pussy Pocket account, the Pussy Pocket guy, whatever you want to call me, I want everyone to know the Pussy Pocket guy is, able to create other things too.
Yeah. It's good to be multifaceted in that way.
But one of the stories I wanted to share, just because it was a big deal for me, is I don't know if you guys know Seth Rogen follows me.
Ooh,
really?
Very nice.
So one of the biggest follow I got was Seth Rogen by far, and I thought this was interesting because the Just for Laughs festival. You guys got that out there, right? Yep. So we had it here, and basically, if I could say I want to be anybody when I grow up, I'm grown up, I guess, but it would be Seth Rogen. Is the dream as far as like a content creator, and he's just absolutely killing it right now. And I can't say one thing that he's ever made that I haven't been a fan of. Right. If you guys aren't watching The Boys right now, you absolutely should, because this show is fucking wild. But basically, he came to Just for Laughs with his writing partner, Evan Goldberg, and I got to go up and ask him a question, and it was basically just hanging out. He had a bunch of mics placed everywhere, and he just talked about what's going on in his life. We got to see some behind the scenes. But one of the things that stuck out to me was he's like, somebody, did that age-old question, like, do you have any advice for someone who wants to do what you're doing? And then he's like, make shit, finish the shit, and then move on to something else. He's like, there's too many people that are just like starting stuff and not finishing it. And he's like, and make, you know, even if it's not good, just make your next thing better. And he's like, and trust me, if it's good, he's like, we will find you. He's like, we will come out, we'll find you, because there's not a lot of good shit out there, and there's not a lot of good original shit. And honestly, 2 months after that, I made my first video, which is vapes versus joints. Where Beef,
I remember that one.
Where Beef basically calls me a pussy for smoking vapes. Hey, look at you, you fucking pussy. Smoking a vape. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Matt vapes.
She's calling you a pussy right now.
It was a mental thing. It was like he said vape, and I was like, I got a vape now.
There she is.
Hey, I was wondering if we'd get an appearance.
She just wanted to come out and call you a pussy. And
oh, dude. Fucking God, dude. She's fucking relentless.
Yeah. So anyway, after that, I shouted out his weed, and then, because he's got his own weed company, and he basically, and he gave me a follow, and he liked a post that I posted for him. So I was like, holy shit, man, that day was a huge fucking milestone for me. And just as my account gets bigger and bigger, I'm getting, you know, more certified checkmark accounts coming my way, and just people that I could reach out to. And eventually, you know, the idea is that, you know, Seth Rogen, he sees my messages, he's there, you know, he's fucking doing a million things right now that are so much more important than Instagram. But I think the idea that if I create something so worthy and so good that one day I will just send it to him, he'll see it, and then, you know, who knows? But I think that's the beauty of these platforms, is that you can have people at your fingertips that are like, you know, that are doing a lot and have come a long way, that didn't have those things. But, you know, you maybe you just got missed. Maybe you were doing something amazing that nobody saw, but like, because of these platforms, they're everywhere. And like, I have such a different demographic, all sorts of different types of people, from musicians to comedians to, you know, just everyday, you know, people. And so that's kind of spreading in that way. And we all have, you know, similar personalities and sense of humors and you know, dirty minds going on that we maybe don't want to talk about in real life as much, but I can be their guilty pleasure when they go home and they can go giggle at my Instagram account. But I think that was one of the big ones for me. And I'm hoping that one day I do create something that's worthy, and, you know, I can send his way and he sees it, or, you know, you just never know.
It's cool to be on someone like that's radar, especially when they're like an influence to you. It's like, oh yeah. Shit, they like what I create. That's a hell of a fucking feather in the cap.
Right. And Instagram is just a game, and sometimes you do need to take those chances. Like, what are the odds at that time he was online to see the thing I posted? And like, again, another one of the most recent ones is Anthony Jeselnik has a co-host on his podcast named Erica Tamposi, and I listen to that account a lot. And, you know, she was just about to hit the 10,000 follower mark. So I decided to shout her out and be like, yo, let's get Erica to 10,000. She's on my favorite podcast. She sees it and she goes, what's a beef curt? And I send her a message and I explain it to her, and she's like, that's very, very funny. And I'm like, you know, what'd be even funnier is if you shared my account on the podcast during Erica's Corner, or I think they have a thing called Suggestion Station or something, or Suggestion. They do something where they suggest things. So I'm like, and she's like, I'll keep you in mind. I mean, the fact that may happen, who knows? But wow. You know, it's just about keep doing that and keep putting yourself out there until something does.
Well, you got the right mentality. I mean, that's and you're making fucking waves. That's for sure. You and Vaginessa over there.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, man. And where can let's run the socials again. Where can everyone find you?
So on Facebook, I guess you just search Beef and Kurt. Everything is kind of in that same category. Twitter/Beef Kurt. Obviously Instagram's the big one, at Beef Kurt and Love. YouTube, Beef Kurt and Love as well. Just kind of, you know, if you go into my Instagram world, you can kind of see all those links anyway. So that's probably the best place to start. Shoot me a follow. If anyone out there is looking to collaborate and do some funny shit, I'm always down. Nice. Keep an eye out for some of my next projects. Might be some stuff people want to collaborate with as well, but this is just the beginning. So
nice. We'll have to have you back on as you put out more content here.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, again, because I wanted this account to kind of be like the rise and fall. I think you're going to see some more drama going into the relationship, some more ridiculousness. But you know, that's the kind of stuff that people want. So a honeymoon stage is maybe coming to an end, and you guys can look out for that. But once it starts to really fall, definitely be down to come back and explain to you guys what's going on in the world.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Jesse Nelson, ladies and gentlemen. Lovely.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for being on, man. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in at home. And until next time, that's it.
There you go.
We're smoking America. We passing America. I'm mapping America. I'm psyching America. We talking America. We blazing America. This is fucking America. We're slacking America.
This has been American Slacker Podcast. You can reach the show by searching American Slacker on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Reddit. Or send them an email to americanslackerpodcast@gmail.com. You can download and rate American Slacker on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and all other podcast platforms. Visit the show's website, aspodcast.com, where you will find every episode, official merchandise, and links to their Patreon if you would like to support American Slacker.
Give me a minute. Think about the seconds that are passing. Man, I gotta go and get it, grab it. Why you gotta go and act savage? Smoking weed, I gotta feed the habit. Now I'm on some other shit. Things that I gotta go get. Medical all on my slip. You falling like dominoes, bitch. Stuck in my ways, fucking high days, fucking sideways in the driveway.
We smoking America. We passing America. I'm mapping America. I'm psyching America. We talking America. We blazing America. This is fucking America. We're slacking America. We're slacking America.